picture this.
Yeah.
You are walking into a massive, echoing convention center. It's just this incredibly crowded room, wall to wall with people.
Oh, man, I can already picture the chaos.
Right. And every single person in there is holding up a dazzling, picture-perfect portfolio. They're all essentially shouting, trying to get the attention of the exact same group of clients walking through the door.
Which is the reality for so many people.
It really is. So
Yeah.
how do you possibly stand out in a room like that when everyone else's work is, well, just as beautiful as yours?
It's completely overwhelming to even visualize because what you're describing is the reality of starting or even just scaling a business in an incredibly competitive, saturated market.
Yeah.
When the baseline for entry is already a super high level of raw talent, simply being, good at what you do is no longer a differentiator. It really just gets you into the room.
It's the bare minimum now.
Yeah.
So today, our mission for this deep dive is to decode the mechanics of actually cutting through that noise.
Yeah.
We want to look at achieving real, sustainable growth in your niche.
And we're using the wedding industry as our lens for this today, right?
We are. And to do that, we are pulling our insights directly from the Weddizer website. Because if you're trying to figure out how to use the Weddizer website for business purposes, you can find exactly how to deal with wedding events guidance through the article section on the website related to your specific niche.
It is an absolute goldmine.
Totally. We're specifically unpacking one of their really comprehensive guides titled Joint Marketing Campaigns between Wedding Planners, Photographers, and Florists.
The central thesis of this specific Weddizer guide requires a pretty fundamental shift in how you view the people standing next to you in that crowded room we just talked about.
How so?
Well, the premise is that standing out demands strategic collaboration. By teaming up, non-competing vendors can achieve results like in terms of reach, bookings, brand visibility, that would literally be mathematically impossible to achieve alone.
I love that. I actually like to think of this as the Avengers strategy.
The Avengers strategy. Okay, explain that.
You have these individual superheroes, the planner, the photographer, the florist. They are all highly capable solo acts. But when they form a supergroup, they become something much, much larger.
That is a brilliant way to frame it.
So before we look at the actual playbook for building these campaigns, let's unpack the mechanics of why joining forces is such a powerful growth hack.
Yeah, the primary mechanism at play here is exponential reach. When these three specific vendors collaborate, they aren't merely pooling their creative skills for a day.
Right.
They are actively merging their entire digital ecosystems. They're tapping into each other's social media followings, their daily website traffic, and their curated email lists.
So let's say I'm a florist, and I've spent 2 years just grinding to build an audience of 1,000 local followers.
A very common scenario.
Yeah. So by doing this, I'm suddenly putting my floral designs directly in front of the photographer's 10,000 followers.
Exactly.
And maybe I'm getting featured in the planner's monthly newsletter that goes out to highly qualified leads. I'm essentially bypassing that super slow organic growth phase.
You're leveraging borrowed trust. And that connects directly to consumer psychology. Because planning a wedding or really executing any large-scale, high-ticket project is an incredibly high-stakes scenario for the client.
Oh, absolutely. The pressure is insane.
Right. So when a consumer sees a network of professionals who frequently and successfully work together, it fundamentally lowers their perceived risk. It signals reliability.
It tells the client we have a proven system.
Yes, we communicate flawlessly behind the scenes, and we will not let your big day fall apart.
There's also, I think, a purely financial mechanism at work here, too. The Weddizer guide leans really heavily into the cost-effectiveness of this model.
It's a huge factor.
Because if you want to run high-end ads or put together this lavish showcase to attract luxury clients, the capital required for that can totally drain a solo business.
Oh, it'll bankrupt you if you're not careful.
Right. But if you're splitting that bill 3 ways, you are effectively multiplying your marketing impact while minimizing your individual financial risk.
Plus, you get to collectively engineer your brand positioning. You can decide as a unit, we are the go-to team for dark, moody winter weddings, and suddenly you just own that specific niche.
Wait, hold on. I need to play devil's advocate for a second here.
Okay, let's hear it.
If I am a vendor, say I'm that same florist, and I team up with a wildly expensive luxury photographer, don't I risk sort of blending into the background of their massive brand?
That's a fair worry.
Or worse, aren't we just fighting over the exact same slice of the couple's budget? Like if the couple spends $10,000 on the photographer, they inherently have less money to spend on my flowers.
I hear that all the time. That is the
Mhm.
most common hesitation vendors have, but it is entirely rooted in a scarcity mindset.
Interesting.
What the Weddizer article clarifies so brilliantly is that planners, florists, and photographers offer complementary services. They are not competing for a finite budget from a bargain hunting client.
So it's not a zero-sum game.
Not at all. You are sharing the spotlight to attract a specific type of high-value client.
Ah, I see. So we were talking at a completely different tier of consumer entirely.
Precisely. The client who wants the seamless high-end experience isn't looking to cut corners on the centerpieces just so they can afford the photographer.
They want the entire package to be flawless.
Exactly. When you present yourselves as a unified elite front, you are actually elevating the perceived value of all your services combined. You are filtering out the clients who want to nickel and dime you.
Which is everyone's dream, honestly.
Right. And you're attracting the ones who are willing to pay a premium for peace of mind. You aren't fighting over scraps, you are building a bigger, better table.
I love that visual, building a bigger table.
Yeah.
So let's transition from the theory to the reality of this. If I'm listening to this and I want to build my own Avengers team, what does this actually look like out in the wild?
Well, the Weddizer guide provides a very concrete playbook for this. It starts with the most popular tactic, which is styled photo shoots.
Okay, a
Okay.
styled shoot. That's like the ultimate visual collaboration, right?
Yeah, it's essentially a mock wedding designed entirely for portfolio and marketing purposes.
So the planner handles the logistics and the overarching concept.
Yeah.
And the florist gets to design those breathtaking, boundary-pushing arrangements that a normal client might be, a little too timid to actually order.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the photographer captures all of that visual storytelling.
So what happens after the shoot?
Then they take that visual storytelling and systematically feed it into their social media engines. We're talking joint Instagram reels, shared Pinterest boards, TikTok videos showcasing the chaotic behind-the-scenes setup.
People love the behind-the-scenes stuff.
They really do. A really effective tactic here is the vendor spotlight series. So the photographer might post a beautifully shot video of the florist at work, talking specifically about how the florist's eye for color made the photos pop.
Oh, so it acts as an endorsement.
Exactly. It's a very public, very authentic endorsement.
The guide also mentions using wedding giveaways and contests as part of this playbook.
Yeah.
Like offering a package where a lucky engaged couple gets a mini planning session, an engagement shoot, and a custom bouquet.
Yeah, giveaways are a classic move.
Now, I have to say, I have always been deeply skeptical of giveaways.
Really? Why?
Well, don't you just end up attracting freebie seekers?
Mm-hmm.
People who want a free iPad or a free bouquet, but have absolutely zero intention of ever actually hiring you for a $30,000 event.
That's a great point. And if you run a generic giveaway like tag 3 friends to win a free bouquet, then yes, you are just tossing free services into the void and collecting completely useless followers.
Right. Just a bunch of random people.
But let's look at the mechanism of a strategic giveaway. When you combine the giveaway with highly specific targeting, it stops being a lottery and becomes a behavioral filter.
A behavioral filter. Okay, tell me how that works practically.
Let's say the prize is highly specific. The copy says, a moody, Gothic-inspired micro-wedding photography and floral package for couples getting married in the Pacific Northwest this October.
Oh, wow.
The teenager who just likes free stuff is not going to enter that. The couple planning a massive traditional church wedding in Florida is definitely not going to enter that.
You are actively repelling anyone who isn't your exact target demographic.
Which means every single email address you collect from that contest entry form belongs to an engaged couple in your local area who actively desires your specific aesthetic.
That is brilliant. It transforms it from a simple giveaway into a highly targeted lead generation engine.
Exactly. It's pure lead gen.
That honestly reframes the entire concept of a giveaway for me. Now, beyond the social media glitz and the lead generation, there's a whole other layer to this playbook.
The digital layer.
Right. Blog features, guest posting on each other's websites, cross-linking. The guide delves into the SEO benefits. And frankly, I think this might be the unsung hero of the entire collaboration strategy.
It absolutely is.
But SEO can feel like a black box for a lot of creative professionals,
Oh, for sure. But SEO, search engine optimization, is really the quiet engine driving long-term passive success here. When you collaborate digitally, you are generating massive architectural benefits for your website.
Like what?
The most critical of these is backlink building.
Let's break that down. Because a backlink is simply when another website links to yours. Why does Google care so much about that?
Think of a backlink, like a digital letter of recommendation. If a highly established photographer writes a blog post about your collaborative styled shoot and includes a link back to your brand new florist website, Google's algorithm notices that.
It's paying attention to who associates with who.
Yes, Google assumes, well, if this authoritative high-traffic photography site is vouching for this florist, the florist must be legitimate. It transfers trust, and that boosts what we call your domain authority.
So as my domain authority goes up, my website starts appearing higher and higher in the Google search results when a bride types in florist near me.
Exactly. You jump up the rankings, and on top of that, you have shared keyword optimization.
How does that work in a group setting?
Because you are all writing about the exact same collaborative event, your combined content starts ranking for shared, high-value keywords. Things like luxury wedding vendor collaboration or best event team in Chicago.
You're also just feeding the beast, right?
Right.
Like by collaborating, you are inherently increasing your overall content volume.
Totally.
More blog posts, more high-resolution images, more videos. That just means more index pages and more opportunities for a client to stumble across your work.
Not to mention the social signals. If all three vendors are driving traffic to a shared campaign landing page from their respective Instagram accounts, that sudden spike in engagement tells search engines that your content is highly relevant right now.
It is a compounding digital effect.
Yeah.
But, as with any group effort, all of these benefits, the reach, the SEO, the lead generation, they can all just completely collapse if the execution is flawed.
Sadly, yes, it happens a lot.
Which brings us to the reality of human behavior. Whenever I hear the word collaboration, a tiny part of my brain immediately flashes back to the dreaded high school group project.
Oh no, we all have PTSD from that.
You know the exact dynamic.
Yeah.
3 people are assigned to a group. One person stays up until 3 a.m. color-coding the entire presentation.
Yep, the overachiever.
One person promises to bring the snacks and totally forgets them, and the third person just slaps their name on the title slide 5 minutes before class.
It is a universal trauma for a reason, and it is a very real risk in the business world too.
I imagine it ruins actual professional relationships.
It does, and the Weddizer guide actually addresses this dynamic head-on. In their breakdown of common mistakes, unequal contribution is highlighted as a critical failure point.
So if I'm a wedding planner, how do I ensure the florist and the photographer actually pull their weight? Like, how do we avoid that group project curse?
You implement strict structure. You have to. The guide lays out a very methodical 5-step process for planning a successful campaign that engineers accountability into the project from day one.
Okay, lay it on me. What's step 1?
Step 1 is choosing partners whose style, target audience, and business values meticulously align with yours.
That makes total sense. If your entire brand is built around ultra-luxury black tie events, you shouldn't partner with a photographer whose portfolio is entirely budget-friendly DIY backyard weddings.
Exactly. The audiences just won't cross-pollinate because they are looking for completely different price points.
Right. Okay, what's step 2?
Step 2 is defining clear, quantifiable goals. You cannot have a successful collaboration if the florist is trying to double their Instagram followers, while the planner is only interested in capturing email addresses for a newsletter.
You're running in different directions.
Right. You have to agree on what success looks like before you take a single photo.
Got it. And step 3?
Step 3 is developing a unified concept. This is where you get creatively aligned. Maybe you lean into a seasonal theme, like a spring floral elegance showcase or a moody winter luxury setup.
Or maybe the concept is doing a deep dive case study on a spectacular real wedding that you all previously worked on together.
That's a great idea, too. And then step 4 is where we solve your high school group project dilemma, assigning strict roles and responsibilities.
This is the accountability part.
Yes. It cannot be vague. The planner owns the logistical timeline and venue coordination. The photographer owns the lighting, the shot list, and post-production editing. The florist owns the sourcing and physical installation of the decor.
So it is documented, agreed upon, and entirely non-negotiable.
Exactly, which flows right into step 5, creating a unified content distribution plan.
I imagine this is where a lot of collaborations just die.
Oh, completely.
Because everyone shows up for the fun part, the actual photo shoot. But then a month later, nobody actually knows who is supposed to post what or when.